Okay, let's just dive right in. If you are a committed Avatar, the Last Airbender fan right now, I mean, you are absolutely living in a golden age of content.
It really is an amazing, complete rejuvenation of the whole franchise.
Totally. We've got the new animated season coming that's going to follow the Avatar after Korra.
Right, and the adult Aang movie that everyone's been waiting for like over a decade.
Well, that's not even mentioning the live action series, the novels that are still coming out. The world of Avatar is just, it's everywhere. It feels more present than it has in years.
Exactly. It's not just back. It's deeper and more expansive.
And all of that whole resurgence gives us the perfect... We are going to tackle one of the world's oldest, most frustrating myths, the true fate, the legacy, and ultimately the death of Sokka.
And the frustration is so real because there's this huge emotional gap. We know from the Legend of Korra that Sokka is gone. He passed away before the show starts. But when you compare that to the loving detail we get for everyone else in the original gang, Sokka's story just stops. It's a really baffling disparity.
It really is. I mean, let's just contrast it for a second. Let's start with his sister, Katara.
Okay.
She's still alive. She's a revered matriarch in the Southern Water Tribe, a master healer. Her kids, Tenzin, Kaya, Bumi, they're all major, fully fleshed out characters.
Her story feels complete. You see her impact across generations.
And then there's Toph Beifong,
the blind bandit.
Her story comes full circle in such a beautiful way. We find her living out in the foggy swamp.
The same swamp where Aang first had a vision of her. It connects everything back.
And she's not just hiding out. She plays this pivotal role in Korra's healing. And her kids, Lin and Suyin, are huge players.
Huge. Political leaders, cultural innovators. Toph's legacy is everywhere.
Don't even get me started on Zuko.
Zuko is still around. Fire Lord Emeritus, basically. He's riding dragons. He's this wise elder statesman.
And he can still kick some serious butt when he needs to. He got political success and, personal peace.
He absolutely did. And Aang is the whole premise of the sequel.
Yeah, I mean, Korra is his reincarnation. His spirit, his lessons, they drive every single plot point of that show.
So you have all of them with these complete satisfying arcs.
Yeah.
And then you have Sokka.
And it's just so jarring because his role in the 100-Year War was colossal. He was the non-bender who brought the strategy, the ingenuity.
The plans, the inventions, the boomerang, they literally reshaped the world. He was the one who saved the day when pure bending power just wasn't enough.
He was Aang's best friend. He was the comic relief, but also the emotional anchor and the brains of the whole operation.
Yeah.
And then we get to Legend of Korra, and his life after the war is a blank page.
And that absence, that blank page, it leaves us with this mountain of core questions that, as lore investigators, we were just desperate to solve.
Like, did he and Suki actually end up together for the long haul?
Did he have kids? Was there a Sokka Jr. running around somewhere?
What role did he play in Korra's childhood before he died? And the biggest one, the one that really hurt.
How did he die?
Exactly. Was it just old age, sickness, or was it something more? A strategic sacrifice, or maybe even murder?
So what we're going to do is take every single tiny fragment the source material gives.
Yeah.
Every breadcrumb, every throwaway line, every statue.
Right, and we're going to connect. We're going to construct a cohesive, highly plausible, and frankly, a deeply heroic story for Sokka's later life and for his death.
It's time to resolve Sokka's, and we have to start with the very few facts we absolutely...
Okay, so let's begin with the hard evidence. We talk about this frustration, this unknown, but the source material is completely silent.
No, not completely. It just gives us these tiny glimpses, and you have to treat those glimpses like they're solid gold.
For real. The fact is that in the entire 4 seasons of The Legend of Korra, we only see Sokka in a couple of flashbacks.
And in all of those appearances, he has exactly one speaking line. One line. The lack of dialogue itself just speaks volumes about how little information we're working with here.
But that one line, that single speaking line, is a massive nugget of knowledge, especially because of the context.
The political context, yeah. It happens during a flashback in Season 1. We see a younger, middle-aged Sokka delivering the sentence to the blood-bending mob boss, Yakon.
And he says, with all the seriousness of a seasoned statesman, we find Yakon guilty of all charges and sentence him to life in prison.
That one sentence is like a whole political resume in miniature. It confirms a few huge things right off the bat.
What's the first one?
First, he was the Southern Water Tribe representative on the United Republics Council, this new governing body for the capital city.
Okay, so he's a councilman. That's big.
But it's bigger than that. Second, and this is even more crucial for his status, he was the council's chairperson.
Wait, hold on. Let's pause on that. How do we know for sure he was the chairperson and not just another member of the council?
It's purely visual evidence. The staging of the scene. In that flashback, Sokka is sitting dead center at the council table.
Right in the middle.
Exactly. He's clearly the one leading the proceedings. He's the one who stands up and announces the official verdict on behalf of the entire council. That's the chairperson's seat.
Wow, that's profound when you think about it.
It's an incredible trajectory.
I mean, this is the guy who started out as the sarcastic kid who was always getting into trouble, defined by his love of meat boomerang.
And he rises to become the chief decision maker, the main political voice in the brand new unified capital of the world.
That is the towering legacy. That's an established fact.
And it's completely in character. It fits his role as the strategist and the organizer perfectly. He might not have been a bender, but he was always the one holding the map.
Always the one with the plan.
Exactly. And political leadership, especially when you're trying to build a new democracy from scratch, that requires precisely that kind of organizational mind.
And that whole idea of establishing the city, that's actually the first layer of his political life, which the graphic novels, especially The Promise, really dig into. He wasn't just a representative later on. He was a founding father of Republic City itself.
Yes. The novels cover that messy period right after the 100-Year War, when they were trying to figure out what to do with the Fire Nation colony.
It was a tricky situation.
Very. And the whole gang, Suki included, they all decided to settle in that area, and they immediately had to deal with this Bender supremacist uprising.
And the place they were in, it had this truly uninspired name.
Cranefish Town.
Cranefloor Town. It sounds less like a future metropolis and more like a regional market.
Exactly. And the source material specifically says that Sokka hated that name. And this is where the crucial connection. That area became important because it was a melting pot. It was the first place where people from all four nations started to really live together.
Which was the whole point of it, to create a lasting peace.
So you have Sokka, the guy who's all about unity and strategy, helping to put down the first major threat to this new blended society.
And then he helps name the city that grows out of it.
The theory, which is really backed up by the context, is that Sokka, with his hatred for Cranefish Town and his passion for organization, is the one who came up with Republic City.
It just makes sense. The name itself, Republic City, encapsulates the whole idea of a blended government run by a council, not a king, not one nation's leader.
It's his vision made real.
And the thematic symmetry here is just incredible. He helps found the city by stopping a Bender supremacy movement, people who thought bending gave the rule.
Right.
And then decades later, when his successor Korra shows up, who is she fighting? A mirror image of that threat. The equal, a non-Bender supremacy.
Led by Aang. It shows this continuous struggle for balance that Sokka dedicated his entire adult life. He spent his career trying to build a world where benders and non-benders could coexist.
And the two major conflicts that bookend his life are both about that exact identity crisis.
It really paints him as this tireless guardian of that delicate balance.
So Sokka goes from being the water-tried kid with a boomerang to the chief strategist, the council chairperson, and a founding father of the capital. That's a huge political life.
It really is.
But even with all of that, that single clip, that one sentence, is the last time we ever hear.
Yeah.
So now we have to move beyond direct quotes and start looking at monuments, memories, and symbolic gestures.
And moving into the Korra timeline proper, our next big piece of evidence about Sokka's importance comes in Season 2. The episode is called Peacekeepers.
Ah, yes.
And we see this monumental bronze statue of Sokka, and it's in a place of great prominence right out front of the Capitol building in Republic City.
And he's holding his trusty boomerang. Of course he is. It's Boomerang Guy, immortalized standing guard over the government he helped create.
And the statue itself is actually called the Peacekeeper. And its location and the timing of its reveal, it's a profound visual metaphor.
Okay, break that down. What are the writers trying to tell us?
Well, the episode is called Peacekeeper, and the very building his statue is guarding gets violently bombed during that same episode.
Right.
So it's this really powerful, almost tragic commentary. Sokka, the statue, the historical piece, he represents the initial success of the United Republic, the era of stability he and the gang created.
But the bombing,
the burning Capitol building in the background, it's basically screaming that the peace he built is failing, that the city he founded is under attack and can't keep itself stable anymore.
It really highlights how fragile their achievement was. And the threat this time wasn't some supremacy.
No, it was Unalaq, Korra's uncle, manipulating a civil war from the inside.
It suggests that even Sokka's legacy, cast in eternal bronze, couldn't shield the Republic from internal strife.
And, this brings us to one of the most beloved inside jokes in the whole series.
Oh, yeah.
The statue count.
Oh, yeah.
We see these amazing, impressive monuments to Aang, to Toph, to Zuko, and to Sokka.
Yeah.
But there's one core member of the gang whose statue we never see.
Katara, the ultimate master waterbender, the one who literally healed the world multiple times, the matriarch of the new air nomad, no statue.
And I love the fan theory that this isn't an oversight, it's a running gag.
It has to be. It fits their personalities perfectly. You can just imagine Toph and Sokka teasing her relentlessly decades.
Absolutely. Like, hey, Katara, you saved the world, but somehow the cabbage merchant got a statue before you did.
It just humanizes them. It reminds you that even as these legendary founders, they were still that dysfunctional family we knew from the beginning.
For sure. But that moment of fun aside, we have to move to the final piece of concrete Sokka lore we ever get.
And this might be the most significant piece of all, because it ties him directly to the main villains of this.
Exact. We jump ahead to season 3 of Korra, and Korra learns, through a recovered memory, that Zahir and the Red Lotus tried to kidnap her when she was just a child.
This confirmed kidnapping attempt is Sokka's last historical foot. We learn that right after Korra was identified as the new Avatar, this team of 4 specialized criminals tried to snatch her from the Southern Water Tribe camp.
A coordinated, high-level attack.
And who's there to stop? The defense force was Lord Zuko, Katara, Korra's father, Tonrak, and, critically, Chief Sokka.
That is monumental. It's a huge piece of the puzzle. It confirms Sokka was not only alive, but was still actively serving as a chief strategist and protector well into Korra's childhood.
He was directly involved in neutralizing the Red Lotus, the greatest non-external threat to the New World Order.
And they succeeded. They apprehended all the criminals and locked them away in those specialized prisons designed to neutralize their bending.
So that's it. That's the ultimate breadcrumb. The strategist's last confirmed action was a high-stakes, successful defense of the Avatar.
But the question still hangs there. What happened right after that? Did he just die peacefully of old age a few days later, or did he fall during that fight?
And this is the point where the hard facts run out. We have to start synthesizing the theory. Okay, so let's shift. Talked about Council Chairperson Sokka. Let's talk about Sokka the lady.
Right, because everyone else in the gang, they had kids, they established clear family lines. For Sokka, the romance arc is complicated.
Yeah, very
unresolved.
It really is. And the source material is pretty insistent that Sokka was, let's say, popular.
To put it mildly, yeah. There's that persistent fan lore, and we should say it's not verified by basic fact-checking, that his name translates to lover boy in Zulu.
We can't confirm it, but the reputation definitely fits what we see on screen.
For sure. And you have that moon parallel that runs through his whole life. It's almost poetic.
First, he was with Princess Yu. Her name literally means moon in Chinese, a tragic first love where she becomes the moon's.
And then he moves on to Suki, the leader of the Kyoshi warriors. Her name means moon in Japanese. He was literally chasing the moon through his entire youth.
And it wasn't just them. He definitely caught the eye of other characters.
Oh, yeah. Ty Lee, the cheerful acrobat, she flirted with him constantly while they were fighting. She said it was like they were dancing together.
And then there's the key piece of evidence for the big theory we're about to get into, Toph. When Sokka saved her from that fall, she just blurts out, "Oh, Sokka, you saved me." And it's a moment that just reveals this very clear, deep-seated crush she had on him.
And that leads us directly into one of the Legend of Korra's great unresolved mysteries, the identity of Suyin Beifong's father.
Right. Toph had 2 daughters, Lin and Suyin. And in true Toph fashion, she kept the father's identities a secret for
we eventually find out that Lin's father was this straightforward, non-bending guy named Kanto. They had a brief thing.
But the father of her second daughter, Suyin, the powerful metal bender, the diplomat, the founder of the amazing city of Zaofu, that remains a complete blank in the official canon.
And this is where we stop chasing the moon and we start digging into the earth. We are going to build the case for Sokka as Suki's father.
And we're going to look at the thematic resonance and the physical evidence that supports it.
Exactly.
So where do we start? What's the hardest piece of evidence?
I think the physical evidence is highly compelling. Specifically, the family's shared skin complexion and facial structure.
Okay.
If you look at Toph's family, the entire side related to Suyin shares this distinctly similar olive skin tone. It's a much closer match to Sokka than it is to Lin's father, Kanto, or even Toph herself.
Right. Toph is lighter skinned. Sokka has that darker water tribe complexion.
Exactly. And that visual inheritance seems to carry down through the generations.
Yeah.
When you look at Suyin's kids, Toph's grandchildren.
And Huan, the artsy metal bender.
Especially Huan. The resemblance to Sokka is often pointed out by fans who've analyzed the original character sketch. Huan's facial structure, especially his jawline and nose, it's strikingly similar to Sokka's. It's a clear visual lineage.
Wow. Okay, so there's a physical case. What about the thematic link?
This, for me, is maybe the strongest non-physical evidence. If Sokka is Suyin's father, think about what that means. His daughter founded an entire city.
Zaofu, a city dedicated to structure, innovation, technology.
Perfected by metal bending guards. It directly mirrors Sokka's own life as a strategic planner and the co-founder of the ultimate modern metropolis Republic City.
So it suggests that Suyin didn't just inherit Toph's incredible earth-bending talent.
No. She also inherited Sokka's strategic, civic-minded DNA, his drive to build and govern the future.
And that brings us back around to Sokka's single line of dialogue in Korra.
Yes, he uses some of his very few words not just to sentence Yakone, but to heap historical praise on Toph.
He makes a point of highlighting her achievement. He says, even metal bending was considered impossible for all of history until our esteemed chief of police, Toph Beifong, single-handedly developed the skill.
It's an unnecessary flourish for a simple sentencing, unless that deep respect comes from a relationship that was much more intimate, more enduring than just being old war buddy.
It sounds like high praise delivered by a very proud co-parent.
Exactly. But we have to put on our critical thinking caps here. Let's challenge the theory. Why wouldn't he be the father?
The biggest elephant in the room is
Suki, his long-term committed girlfriend. If Sokka and Suki were still together, why would he have a child with Toph? It's a fair question.
The graphic novels confirm they were very much a couple during the founding of Republic City. So for this theory to hold up, the Sokka and Suki relationship had to have ended sometime between then and when.
And then there's Toph's secrecy. She eventually named Lin's father Kanto. Why wouldn't she name Suyin's father if it was someone as important and famous as Sokka?
I think the answer to that is just Toph. The nature of their relationship.
Right.
If the Sokka and Toph thing happened, it probably wasn't a traditional committed romance. It was likely born out of closeness, a shared history, mutual respect. It was a way of fulfilling Toph's earlier admitted crush on.
And Toph has never cared about social conventions. Ever. So if Sokka was already famous, maybe newly out of his relation with Suki, she might have chosen to protect his legacy or just respect his path by keeping it quiet.
By not naming him, she maintains her own mystery, and she ensures that Suyin's identity is purely Beifong.
And the thematic conclusion you can draw from this theory, it just provides such a perfect resolution to Sokka's romantic life.
How so?
He spent his youth shooting for the moon with Yu and Suki, who were associated with the spirit world, with being transient and high-flying.
And he eventually settled for someone more grounded.
Literally. She has a child with Toph, the ultimate earthbender, the one who represents stability in the physical world.
It resolves his journey from strategic planner to father.
He established a political legacy in Republic City, and through Suyin, he established a legacy of innovation and civic structure in Zalf. It's an incredibly fitting resolution for the strategy.
And it makes his eventual death even more poignant, knowing he left behind not just a political system, but this family legacy anchored to his greatest friend.
So we've established this highly plausible, heroic life story. Founding chairperson, a key defender of the Avatar, and very likely the father of Suyin.
And now we have to tackle the ultimate question, his death. And for that, we have to go back to his final confirmed action.
The successful defense of young Korra from the Red Lotus.
This event, the kidnapping attempt, this is the strongest hypothesis for the time and manner of his death. The theory basically says that Sokka died protecting Korra during this violent heist fight.
Likely at the hands of one of the extremely dangerous members of the Red Lotus.
So let's set the stage. Let's detail exactly how formidable it was. They weren't just some random street gang.
No. They were 4 specialized, highly trained individuals, a radicalized master from each of the 4 nations.
You had Mingha, the waterbender born without arms who conjured these terrifying water to fight with.
An incredible reach and fluidity in battle. Then Pele, a combustion bender, who could create massive, focused explosions from her third eye, a direct, deadly threat.
Then we had Ghazan, the earthbender who specialized in lava bending, which we are definitely coming back to.
And finally, Zahir, the leader. The strategist. At the time of the kidnapping, he was still a non-bender, but he was a master martial artist and the intellectual core of the group.
And this is where the parallels get really fascinating.
It's a dark mirror.
It is. The Red Lotus structure, 3 specialized benders and 1 non-bending leader and strategist, is a dark mirror of the original gang dynamic.
Sokka, the non-bender, was the master planner for the good guys. Zahir, the non-bender, was the master planner for the opposition. It was a strategic battle between the 2 greatest non-bending minds of their generations.
And Sokka, as a lifelong strategist, he would have had an extensive playbook for dealing with moves.
Oh, for sure. He was intimately familiar with powerful waterbending because of his sister Katara.
And he had direct prior experience defeating a combustion.
He literally uses his one speaking line in Korra to remind the audience of this. He references his famous victory over Combustion Man, or Sparky Boom Man.
He said, I once bested a man with my trusty boomerang who was able to fire bend with his mind. Sokka knew the weakness of that specific.
A quick, disruptive shot to the third eye. He had the counter move perfect.
So let's systematically walk through the threats in that fight. Could Sokka have fallen to Minghua, the waterbender?
It seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Sokka had spent decades fighting alongside and probably sparring against the greatest waterbender in the world, his sister. He knows their tactics inside.
Okay, so probably not Minghua. What about Pili, the combustion bender?
Again, it just feels thematically unsatisfying and strategically unlikely.
Yeah.
Sokka had already solved that puzzle once. It's hard to imagine the master strategist falling to the exact same trick he'd already beaten as a teenager.
He probably could have handled Zahir's non-bending martial arts too. Sokka was a warrior his whole life. He fought people like Ty Lee and Mai.
Right, but the Red Lotus had one massive, unforeseen strategic game changer on their team, something Sokka could not have prepared for.
Gazan's lava.
This is the absolute nexus point of the entire death theory. Gazan is the first non-Avatar character we ever see perform lava bend.
Before him, it was a common belief in the lore that only the Avatar could do it because it seemed to require both earth and fire bending.
And we need to clarify the mechanics here, because it's crucial for the theory. Lava bending is not a dual-element technique.
Right.
It's a hyper-specialized and extremely rare form of earthbend. It involves heating and liquefying earth through incredibly fine molecular control.
It's the absolute cutting edge of what that element. Toph invented metal bend, a rare technique based on sensing impurities.
And Gazan's lava bending is its parallel, a rare technique based on intense temperature control. Both of them represent something the original Gang, especially Sokka, had never faced.
So what does this mean for the strategy in that fight? Sokka's success always relied on known variables. He knew the physical limits of benders, he could add moves, he exploited weaknesses.
Gazan introduced a terrifying, unknown variable.
His ability was terrifying because it wasn't just raw power, it was instant geographical transformation.
He could instantly turn the solid ground beneath Sokka's feet into molten rock.
Yeah.
Or the building Sokka was using for cover. This is an element of surprise that a non-bender who relies on maneuverability and terrain could not strategize around in real time.
It's a whole different threat. Felice creates a momentary blast dodge. Gazan creates a permanent spreading pool of liquid death.
If Sokka was trying to hold a defensive or get Korra to safety, Gazan could simply melt the very ground the strategist was standing on. It would instantly eliminate his positional advantage.
So the theory strongly suggests that Gazan was the one who finally managed to take Sokka down.
Using this brand new, terrifying ability that defied all of Sokka's known strategic countermeasures. He may have had to sacrifice himself just to distract Gazan, or create an opening for the others to capture him.
But even in that chaos, Sokka's plan must have worked. They did successfully stop the kidnapping. They captured all 4 criminals. They saved the Avatar.
It was a strategic success, but at the cost of his own life. Whatever brilliant move Sokka made to neutralize that unknown threat Gazan, it was successful for the mission, but fatal for him.
And that gives Sokka a perfectly heroic, strategic death. It fits his character. Dying while defending the Avatar from an existential threat, from a new and
And we should just reinforce how brutal the Red Lotus was. This end fits their profile perfectly. This is the group that later gave us multiple horrific on-screen deaths.
Electrocution, head explosion, a cave-in, suffocating the Earth Queen. They were ruthless. Sokka falling to them is a brutal but fitting end for the hero who is their first major obstacle.
And this whole theory ties back to that visual metaphor of Sokka's standing in front of the burning Capitol building.
How so?
The instability that led to that bombing in Season 2 was started by Unalaq, who was later revealed to be a former member and associate of the Red Lotus.
And Unalaq's actions are what led directly to harmonic convergence, the spiritual event that changed the world's bending dynamics.
Yeah, and harmonic convergence is the event that gave Zahir his airbend, which is what allowed him to break free from that specialized prison Sokka and the others put him in.
Wow.
So the chaos that plagued the world Sokka helped build, the instability symbolized by that bombing, it can all be traced back to the lingering shadow of the Red Lotus, the very threat Sokka died to contain.
That's a phenomenal, interconnected legacy. Sokka's last act was to protect his best friend's reincarnation, Korra, who was overcome by a new forcer, an internal threat that continued to haunt the political.
The strategist died defending his own legacy, falling to a bending move his strategic mind had simply never encountered before. It resolves his story not with a quiet death in his sleep, but with a massive, resonant, and deeply personal act of self-sacrifice.
So what does this all mean for us, the audience? We went from Sokka being one of the biggest question marks in the entire Avatar canon
to having a remarkably detailed, evidence-based, and, I think, heroic life story built from just a handful of clues.
We synthesized the knowledge that he achieved the massive political legacy he deserved. He rose to become the founding chairperson of Republic Council.
We presented the strong, evidence-based theory that he's the biological father of Suyin Beifong, which ties in directly into Toph's family line and gives a beautiful resolution to his romantic arc through parenthood.
And finally, we posited his heroic strategic death, a perfect narrative end for the strategist falling while protecting the young Avatar Korra from the Red Lotus.
Specifically, he was likely overcome by Gazan's lava bend, a new, unforeseen technique that his strategic mind couldn't counter on the fly. It connects his whole story, from the war to building the new world, right up to the moment the new Avatar needed him.
But Sokka's strategic mind and his fate can be so intricately linked to the Red Lotus and these specialized bending forms. It really makes you wonder what other hidden connections and narrative echoes exist between the original series and the next.
Absolutely. The source material is just so rich with these thematic connections. And for you, the listener, we'd recommend exploring the surprisingly detailed fan theory that suggests Ty Lee,
Sokka's flirtatious foe,
an original member of the Fire Nation's own specialized strategic forces, was actually a lost air nomad.
based on her incredible speed, her unique chi blocking, her specialized physical.
Exactly. It's another unresolved mystery that just begs for the same kind of deep dive treatment.
Go explore that air nomad connection. We've given you the strategic framework. Now go apply your own deep dive skills, and we'll catch you on the next